This is what I mean by the abuse that Sarah Palin has had to take. She never said that. Tina Fey said that on Saturday Night Live, making fun of her. But it's been so inculcated into the story that you can't tell where she is and where the nonsense that they print about her is. And that's one of the problems. And the thing is this, too. Listen, I've been watching I'm a little bit older than you, okay? I've been watching politics for a long time. Nobody, not even Richard Nixon, when he was hated at his utmost, has been attacked the way this woman is attacked. And I truly believe the reason she's attacked, and that's the point that I was trying...
What do you mean by attacked, though?
Attacked because she is vilified. Her family is vilified. She is vilified. She is... They take things like that and use that against her when she never said it to begin with. But now she has to respond to it. They said when that woman got shot down in Texas, it was Sarah Palin's fault.
What?
That's right. Exactly right. What? How can you say something so stupid as that? But that's what they did. 45 minutes after this happened, somebody was already penning an article about how, well, she had targets on her map, and that's why this guy went out and shot. And then we find out later on this guy's just a nutcase, and he just shot, you know what I mean? So, I mean, this is the kind of stuff she has had to put up with. And this is the reason Atlas Shrugged was a good insight into that, because the woman in this is getting attacked viciously too, and not her. She's trying to build a company. Okay, and they can't beat her on the fair, so they're beating her other ways. She gets. It's a railroad story. They have railroad tracks, and the guy that's been servicing them, that isn't servicing them properly anymore, she's had enough. And she breaks off the contract with this guy. She goes to this guy who's got his own new steel, but they don't want that. Okay, they're the guys that have been there forever. That you must use us, or the We Say So company.
Right.
Okay, so what do? Well, they get their friends in the government to pass regulations that say you can't do this and you can't do that and you can't do this, and then they come back over here to her and they say, well, you can't use this steel. Then they get their friends in the unions to say, we're not going to drive on this road because it's not safe because of a lie that was told about it to begin. Now, I'm giving this to you in encapsulated form, but the fact of the matter is, it shows you just how they work together to get what they want and to protect what they want. And it's important for people to see. That could work in
your favor?
Well,
I have a personal story about that.
Okay, and I'm more than happy to share. I want it because I've been talking a lot anyway. But the fact of the matter is, you gave us a beautiful example of what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Because you were suckered in to believe in something that was totally untrue. You know what she actually
said?
Well,
let me tell you.
You know what she said?
The fact of the matter is, I truly don't particularly care about her.
Okay, that's fine. But the fact of the matter is, why is it important? Because it doesn't matter if it's her or somebody else. Right. If it happens to her, it could happen to somebody you might like.
Yeah,
that's why we have to protect everybody, not just why does the Constitution protect speech we don't like? Because if we don't protect speech we don't like, then we're never going to hear anything but what they decide is correct. Okay? Now, and this is how subtle the manipulation is. What she actually said was, they were talking about being involved. She's a governor. They have the Strategic Air Command. She has soldiers, forces that she was responsible for. And what she was saying is, there are actually places in Alaska where you can look over and see Russia. That's how close they are to Russia, to the communists. I said, okay. That's what she was saying. That was a totally legitimate point. But it was managed to be wrapped into something to try and make her look foolish. And I am just saying to you, that's not America. That's not the country I want to live in. Beat me fair, beat me square, and if you can't beat me on the field of ideas, then you lose. They elected Scott Walker in Wisconsin. They elected him. He said right from the beginning, this is what I'm going to do. Okay? They elected him. He did what he said he promised to the people. And the Democratic senators left the state. It's because it's only okay if we win. If we win, then it's okay. But if you win, then we don't have to play by the rules. And that's a dangerous thing. What's happening is we're losing our country. And you tell me the personal story, because the thing I want to come back to is that if the seniors and the adults don't step up, these kids are going to wake up someday in a different country, because they have no idea what's going on. They are losing their freedoms every day, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And you know what they think America is? They think it's American Idol. They've been warped into thinking celebrity is no. And it's a sad thing, because why do you think most of the Tea Partiers are gray hairs? Because they're the only ones that see what the hell is going on. The kids don't know what's going on. They're watching American Idol. They're watching. I'm going to get into something. I won't. Next week, I want to get into something that they're doing to kids. That is really starting to upset me, and I don't like that ABC is having a lot to do with it, and there's lots of reasons that I don't like the fact that it's ABC doing it. But now, come back and tell me the story.
I grew up in a very small town, about 45 miles south of Chicago, and somebody somewhere said, "Hey, let's build another airport, another Chicagoland airport in this town."
Okay.
And we didn't want it. The town people didn't want it. The FAA didn't want it, because at that time, flights were, people flying wasn't as common. Okay. So the FAA is like, we are having a hard time.
We don't
need it.
Right.
We don't, because we're having a hard time filling the flights we already have, and,
right.
plane company, airlines are closing down and bankruptcy and all that stuff.
Right.
It's going to cost billions of dollars to build, and you have to extend highways, and it's, nobody really. You're going to take up valuable farmland. It's not like there's, it's active farmland. And so when President Clinton was around, as soon as he was elected, kind of everything about the South Suburban Airport kind of disappeared.
Right.
Just kind of disappeared.
Right.
And we assumed that was because the mayor of Chicago, who also didn't want the airport, because now you're taking revenue out of the Chicago area, had something to do with it, which is fine. I mean, we were whatever.
Right.
President Bush II comes in, and all of a sudden, land is getting bought up, forcefully purchased by government. Still, the FAA didn't want the airport. We didn't want the airport. Chicago didn't, nobody wants the airport, but people are having their land purchased. A sign shows up at our exit, future home of South Suburban Airport. I can't tell you how many times that thing was cut down by random people. I mean, you drive down the highway, there it is. You drive down the next day, and all you see are two metal spokes sticking out of the ground. But it became a fight, and then now that President Obama is in there, and I don't think it's because he's from Illinois. I think it's because he's a Democrat, but it's kind of gone down again. People just kind of let it.
Yeah, but now what you're probably going to find out is that no, I don't know this. Let me not say this for sure, but one of the things I thought you were going to say is that when it went down and it seemed to go away, it didn't. It didn't
go away. It just got buried under the paperwork.
Right. Okay. And what happens is, they take turns, okay? So they do this part.
But don't you think at some point, it's one thing for, no town is ever going to want an airport built. I mean, who wants to have all of that extra congestion and whatever? We like the town the way it is. But when the Federal Aviation Administration says building this airport here is unnecessary and a waste of federal funding, why would the government still want to do it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
What's that?
Why is it still continuing?
Why is it still? Which only leads me to believe that somebody is trying to do somebody a favor in that area. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And I'm not saying it's Democrat.
And usually, it's the local politicians that are doing it. The local senators.
And we think we know who it is.
Okay.
And I'm not going to name names.
Okay. And the point that I would make that going there is that the way, and this is again why Atlas Shrugged was so great, because it shows you how they work. This comes up, and then it gets dormant, and then this happens. Okay, now it's all still happening.
Right.
But they're taking their turns. The government will do this thing, and then if we need to get the people to believe it, then the media will sell it to them.
And let me tell you, within 2 hours of Chicago, you have Midway Airport and the O'Hare Airport, which are the two major airports. Then you have the airport in Gary, Indiana. You have the airport that's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and then you have the Rockford Airport. Plus,
Wow.
there's a couple little business airports. There's,
Okay.
you know, like, so we probably have about 10 airfields within 2 hours of Chicago.
I'm really surprised. 'Cause
And they
New York
wanted
City,
to build-
I think it only has 3.
Yeah, and they wanted to build another airport within, you know, and we were just,
Well, you know, money's
and we don't,
involved.
yeah, and you know that there's tons of politics involved, and that
That's
somebody
right.
somewhere in some political party is doing a favor for somebody, and
Yeah, and unfortunately,
frustrating.
and the thing that's really getting insidious is that it's not just the. Now, see what happened. Listen,
yes,
the easiest way to go through this is in 1963, John Kennedy
okay,
was killed in Dallas, Texas, by people that didn't like the way he was running the government.
how long had he been in office when he was killed?
3 years.
Okay.
They knew he was unbeatable
Okay,
in '64, and they knew that if he was allowed to stay in office, he was going to do certain things. You see, JFK was independently wealthy. He wasn't beholden to a lot of people. Now, when I was young, I was not aware of all this. This was all stuff that we learned later on. And what happened was we had a very active Central Intelligence Agency that had been overthrowing little countries here and there and just doing this little thing and doing it very effectively and usually below the radar, so it looked like it was all national inside, you know. And what happened was when the people that wanted to get rid of JFK, he had gotten a lot of enemies.
are you insinuating that the CIA killed JFK?
I am saying that members of
Rogue operatives from the Central
no,
Intelligence
I am
Agency?
Saying, no, I don't think it's.
Okay.
No, I think that what you had was, and as one guy says in one story, what one agency finds uncomfortable to do, another agency does. The fact of the matter is, you couldn't kill the President of the United States unless you could control the subsequent investigation. Okay? Now, on one of these shows in the coming weeks, I want to get into the Lincoln conspiracy just a little bit too, because the same thing happened there. But the point I'm trying to make is they did this when they killed JFK. They killed JFK. They had a sponsor, okay? Lee Harvey Oswald. We're going to blame him for the murder. The guys that did the shooting, they're all out of town. You don't have to worry about them. They're clean. They're gone. They work for us because we'll be using them other places. We don't want anything to happen to them. And then we're going to sell this to the American people. And what are we going to use? We're going to use Time, and we're going to use Life magazine, we're going to use CBS News. Those were the big three in those days, and that's exactly what they did. These were the only people that supported the Warren Commission. Time, Life magazine, Time magazine, the New York Times, okay? And I'll have to, let's show it. Actually, you may not believe this, but we have to go.
Oh, darn.
Okay,
Shucks.
shucks. Now, listen. Just a quick little tease. See this picture? This is a picture when she had really long hair. And I said, well, how come you don't have really long hair? And she told me about, what was it called?
I'm not going to spoil it.
No, I was a teacher.